right. Looks like Greg is a little bit late, but thanks everybody for joining us
fun.
here. There he is. I'm like, Greg, I've never done the lead off. This is a little bit of a shock.
This little side button here on the mouse, I realized that my microphone wasn't where I wanted it, and scrambled to put the microphone in place, and I hit, which is essentially the back button. So I was like, oh, shit. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a brand new Coordination Overreaction on a Sunday night. Greg Mahachko and Every Game Jake, and no Haas tonight, but we will do our best to entertain and educate you good Nebraska fans and any fans of any other teams that may stumble in here. Nebraska, I believe the operative phrase, and Jake, tell me if you've heard this one, is got our shit pushed in last night.
Yeah.
At Beaver Stadium, 37-10, another road loss, to the Nittany Lions. And it started out great if you include up to being inside the 5-yard line on the first drive. Everything else before that was gravy, right? Nice kickoff return to start things off. Emmett Johnson had a nice gain, 29, 39, something like that yards. And look, I'm not even going to wait to get into it. This coaching staff's inability to just accept points is infuriating. How many points have we left on the field this season because or off the scoreboard or whatever, because we're going to try to be fancy, try to force the issue, and instead of just kicking the field goal, kick the field goal, get the points. You're on the road in a hostile environment with not a bad team, better than their record indicates. Take the points and go. I'm still pissed.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't super. Hold on one second. I got some people in the background here.
All right. And we're back. I mean, we're not. He's gone. But seriously, how many times this season can we be in a fourth and goal situation and go for it and fail? And it's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result, Jake.
I didn't hate, a lot of people hate the play call and whatever. I really, again, probably going to get reamed for this. I didn't hate the play call. And I really don't hate being aggressive. And I think that we would be a lot more forgiving if we didn't allow Penn State to go 98 yards and score a touchdown immediately following that. Yes, leaving points on the field in the Big Ten with a chippy field goal like that is not the right move. Yeah, I don't like the play call. I also didn't hate the play call, which again may get me kind of roasted, but
perhaps to maybe contextualize that, the best response to my criticism that I've seen is perfectly fine with them going for it in that situation, but the actual play that was called was horrendous.
Yeah, a lot of people say that, and there was a missed block on that play. Eventually, your players have to execute, which kind of leads me into what I want to discuss. About this game, looking back on it, is there is a talent disparity between those two teams that played last night. We're not there yet. I think that we're working our way there. We're getting closer, but in the trenches especially, there's a pretty big gap in quality of player. And I'm not calling any specific guys out, but it was pretty clear last night that Penn State's a pretty superior talented team compared to Nebraska at this point where we're at. The more I think about it, the play call was really bad in the context of the plays that were called leading up to that fourth down play call.
So Detterhund says 5 straight runs down the middle.
Yeah.
Says should have been a play action pass. Again, we saw, first of all, we have a mobile quarterback. I don't know why we're still bringing Heinrich Harburg in to be quarterback in situations. We have why not run to the boundary? Why not an option or a PA pass? Why not? TJ Lateef is the perfect quarterback to play action bootleg and then see if there's an option or two in the end zone right there. Otherwise, let him. I'd have been disappointed if we didn't get points, but I'd been more, or I say less unhappy because we at least did something rather than like running our heads into a brick wall.
Yeah.
You know? And that's for me where I just couldn't understand it.
And I agree. And I've heard a lot of people, and it's not a lot, probably not a lot of people that watch our show. I think a lot of high football IQs, people that comment regularly, know ball really well. They don't understand what an RPO, a run pass option, actually is. And they confuse it with what a bootleg would be. So on that play, I've heard a lot of people be like, we should run an RPO, which might have been a pretty good call, right? Out of the shotgun to run an RPO. But really what I thought would have been better would have been what you said, Greg. A play action rollout. If your number one read isn't there, you can take a look at your check down, maybe put Emmett or whoever in on a flat. If that's not there, then run. And just give yourself three options, because that's what I think TJ, what we've seen in the limited sample size from him, is where he shines. That's his game, is being a good rollout play action quarterback.
Now, look, I know you don't want to overload that side with receivers because every receiver is likely going to have a defender or two if they're in zone or a match zone. But I'm going to list some names and just yes or no. Tell me if you would trust these guys to catch the ball in a short yardage situation.
Yep.
Isaiah Hunter.
Yes.
Dane Key.
Yes.
Luke Lindenmeyer.
Yes.
Emmett Johnson.
Yes.
And then a slight variation. Do you trust 2 yards out TJ Lateef to get to the pylon if none of those reads are there?
Yes.
Five options. Instead, we bash our skulls against the brick wall, running into the middle, which we had done 4 times previously. Like
right. Yes, I do know what you're saying. And it's not like it was when USC stubbed their toe against us a few weeks ago, where they started in the red zone calling pass plays when they were ripping 10 to 15 off. We weren't ripping those. We were grinding the ball downfield.
Yeah. So
that wasn't a good play call in the context of what was called before and the result of those plays. And then also Vince Watson, I just saw it just mentioned, Barney, 6'7". I don't know what the whole 6'7" thing is. I'm a little old for that, but Ja'Cory Barney's the other guy you didn't mention. Do I trust him to catch the ball in a short yardage situation? 100. So that's actually 6 options there. More than anything, what's discouraging for me, and I would like to get more opinions on this, is what I feel like we're not running an offense conducive to the strengths of the guy we have playing quarterback. And someone mentioned, kind of comparing Taylor Martinez to not in the show. This is something I saw on social media on X, but to TJ Lateef, and I'm like, everyone's forgetting one major factor that TJ Lateef has in his skill set that Taylor Martinez didn't as much. I love him. I think he's a great player. TJ can throw the ball. He can throw the ball really well, like at a high level. And I certainly think TJ Lateef does not look like the moment's too big for him, but I'm also not at practice, so I don't know what they're seeing that I'm not. Apparently, they're also seeing Dylan Raiola complete a lot of fade routes into the end zone that never are completed during games. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that has been the anchor weighing down this offense at times this season is play selection that doesn't put the players in the best possible chance to succeed.
Yeah.
Like I can forgive a lot of Dylan's stuff. He holds on to the ball too long and takes forever to make his progression, make his reads. But when they're dialing up 30, 40-yard bombs for him and he doesn't have an offensive line to protect him that long, then that's set up for failure. TJ is supposed to be they have said we have seen TJ Lateef is not Dylan Raiola. Different set of skills. Good arm, yes, but also much more mobile. They didn't showcase that. Like, what's the point of having a dual threat quarterback if you're going to limit him to one threat?
I mean, how many passing attempts did TJ have last night? 37? 21 to 37, right?
No, I'll tell you exactly here. 37 attempts.
21 completions.
21
completions. We had 69
69
plays to Penn State's 51, I believe.
50.
Yeah. Okay. 50. And he's thrown the ball 37 times for 187 yards. That's
ran 10 times for 31 yards, but most of that was on that 11-yard touchdown pass. And he lost 16 yards, so really he only netted 15 yards.
Right. So what are we doing? And this is what I don't understand. And there's a reason I'm not on staff making however many hundreds of thousands or $1 million a year. So I'm a fan who knows a little bit about ball, that is on here on our show, facilitating discussion and voicing my opinions. But what it looks like to me, and what I think it probably looks like for a lot of Husker Nation, is we're not putting our players in the best possible position to succeed. And I don't understand why. I don't understand what is happening. I think was it Fred earlier that mentioned it looked like we were trying to get Emmett Heisman stats or something. I think
Rostovsky.
That was Rostovsky.
Yeah, Brutus saying trying to get Emmett Johnson his Heisman stats instead of trying to win the game. Which
also good to see you, dude. Glad you're here. But
that's the same crap we were doing with Dylan. We were trying to showcase his NFL arm and things like that. Like, I love Emmett Johnson. I'm tickled to death for his success this year, but one player is not bigger than the team.
I've never been happier to be absolutely dead wrong than I was preseason when I came on this show and was very critical of my trust and my faith in Emmett Johnson's ability and for him to prove me wrong. And I love that. And I said it on the show. I hope he proves me wrong, and he has. Emmett Johnson is a really, really good running back. I mean, he had almost 50 yards receiving last night, even. Like, I think it was 48 receiving yards.
48 yards receiving, 103 net rushing. Again, 19 carries, only one of time was brought down for a loss. I mean, that's pretty good. That's solid. He's a hard-nosed runner. And
yes.
But and he fights for every yard. And a lot of times when we talk about his cutting and things like that, but a lot of times when you think that he should be brought down, he just keeps the legs moving and he finds ways to get more yards, which is again a testament to his heart. I'm not like trying to draw on the 5 heart or anything like that, but it's just his drive, his effort. He's an effort guy in the frame of a D1 scholarship quarterback who's racked up, 1,300 yards rushing this year, ballpark. I'm not, somebody, nobody has to fact check me. I know it's not exactly right, but
no, it's what I wonder about the assistant coaching, which ultimately lands on the head coach because you're the ultimate leader of the program. Oh, this Greg, you want to read that one?
I would love to. Kaylee says, is Rule a bit of a micromanager? I didn't see it on offense, but on defense, I saw many times when both Butler and Rule were yelling at players on defense and seemed to be crossing each other up.
I 100% think that Matt Rule is micromanaging offense and defense. Both. Yeah. Because this Dana Holgorsen offense we're seeing this year does not seem like the Dana Holgorsen offenses we saw at West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Houston, you name it. This doesn't seem right. Like it just seems disjointed The only time it didn't was, I dare to say this, other than against the Cupcakes, Houston Christian, Akron, whatever. This season,
how dare you besmirch those good names?
I want to know who Arkansas Baptist is, because they got beat by Houston Christian 70-0.
I think we looked this up on a Thursday night. I think they're like an NAI team or something like that.
I'm not so sure they're not just like a church league that didn't even know that they had to put pads on that day. Like, they might have just shown up and been like, hey, grab a helmet. But, the offense, we're going to talk about defense too. This is offense right now. The offense just seems like nothing is, handcuffed.
I'm glad that I didn't have to verbalize that. Like, you knew exactly what.
100%, man. Like, it just doesn't. And it seems like a lot of our players that have been in the program for years have not improved. Not only that, they may have regressed a little bit.
Don't say that R word.
Oh, there we go. Dude.
Rostovsky says regressed. This is not a game we should have won.
Rostovsky and I are kind of a little bit simpatico tonight. We're kind of thinking along the same terms. That's what it looks like. Like, it's – I don't want to call out specific guys because it bothers me. I was a player and I don't want to do, necessarily do that all the time, but I will. Latovsky, Latovsky's one, and Corcoran has been here like 7 years, and the missed blocks are just not acceptable.
Turner Corcoran's been here through a pandemic and 2 world wars. Like, it's time to move on. Like, I appreciate him. He's going to go down in my eyes as a once a Husker, always Husker guy.
100.
Or else, like, this is his last year, but so BFOTS Josh said to me last night, he's like, if we don't spend big bucks upgrading our offensive line, and like significant dollars, he didn't give a dollar value, but just go with, he's like, then we will never be taken seriously. Like, then the coaching staff, the program will not be considered serious if we're not financially looking to upgrade our offensive line.
Yes, but also we need to develop players. Like, I want to know how, I wish there's probably a way to figure this out. Teams with a similar budget to ours this season, as far as what they spent on players, I'd like to see what their records and their performance have been. And also, you got to think about the strength of schedule we had. We have a shot for an 8-win season, right? We're 7-4. And looking back at the beginning of the year, Penn State was one that most people thought that obviously we probably a game that we wasn't very likely to win, right? But I didn't think it would look like that. And I'd like to talk about this coaching staff's performance following bye weeks. I don't have year one, like, off the top of my head. I don't remember what that 2022 team did after bye weeks.
23.
But last year, it was Indiana. We got beat 56-7. Yeah.
I can tell you 2023.
Yeah, 2023. Yeah, obviously 23. 20, yeah.
I have to figure out how months work. We went into the bye on a Friday, beating Illinois 20-7, and we came out of the bye on the 21st, beating Northwestern 17-9.
Okay.
And later that might have been the only bye, now I think about it.
Yeah, because we had
that was the only bye.
Yeah, we had a week 1 bye or whatever.
Right? Week 0.
Week
whatever.
0. So
we
then
played Minnesota on a Thursday to start off the Matt Rule and Jeff Sims era, which we know.
Which that was a pretty rough Northwestern team that we beat, 17-9, you said?
Yeah.
And then last year, 56-7 against Indiana, and if I'm not mistaken, there was a bye week between USC and UCLA, and
Yes.
we lost to UCLA.
We lost to USC out of the bye week. UCLA,
Okay.
we lost to them going into the bye week. So
whatever,
still,
dude, we
yeah.
lost both of them.
I know. I'm just, people are gonna
for sure.
fact.
Yeah. And then this year, Minnesota, Penn State, our two worst performances of the season, have come off of bye weeks. So when you talk about an extra week of preparation,
what are we
whatever
doing?
that means, it's not showing through in the results. Who is that? Who do you put that on? Ultimately, it falls on the head coach, but
I would say HCMR.
100% head coach Matt Rule. And I'm not saying I want him gone. Let me be clear on that. But we got to address some of the obvious problems we have going on there.
All right.
Because the lack of preparation, especially coming off these bye weeks, is entirely unacceptable when you have the most, I'm going to be a little bit aggressive here, the most dedicated, loyal, amazing fan base in all of college sports at the University of Nebraska. You deserve better. You deserve better.
Keep going. You're doing great.
No, and then you look at like basketball. This is a football show, but let's talk about like that after we beat Oklahoma. What was it, 106-99? I watched the game. I don't remember these, but whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And the Oklahoma head coach, who a lot of people don't like, I kind of like that guy. Yeah. He's like, do you think this was a neutral site basketball game? This wasn't a neutral. This is a home game for Nebraska. That's a damn good basketball team. Like, think about every sport we play that we have at the University of Nebraska, volleyball, football, basketball, everything we do, our fans are the best fans in the country. And we get this product on Saturday. With all due respect,
I'll go one more. A couple of years ago, baseball team. Thank you, Bright Light. Damn, baseball team went out to Grand Canyon University out in the desert, and there were as many, if not more, Husker fans there than there were, GCU fans. So, yeah. And I'm not saying that like I demand going out and beating a roster that's talented enough to be a preseason top 3, if not number 1 team in the country preseason, right? Like grounded in realism, I understand that. But the product I saw yesterday that I think a lot of us saw is not acceptable for the level of fan support you have here. It's not acceptable. Fan support, yes. Fan added revenue. But overall, just, the amount of, if we're just going to, if we could correlate financial dollars earned and success, Nebraska would be a top 5 team every year. I mean,
100%.
Crying out loud, they're doing it this year in beer sales alone, or beer, maybe not beer units sold, maybe. I don't know the price of beer compared to other places. Yeah, Nebraska, we've been saying this for 15 years, 20 years. Nebraska fans deserve better. And this is not this is going to sound horrible. Like my initial was like, we're too dumb to know better, but we're in a toxic, abusive relationship where we keep thinking, oh, they'll change, they'll love me back one day. And they don't.
Yeah.
So
it's
that's gonna hit some people harder than I intended.
No, I was talking to my old man today. We had some work we had to do here at the house, and he came over and helped me. And for those that maybe don't know, that are new to the show, or don't even, probably most people don't care, but on Sundays I do large traditional family Italian style dinners. After church, I do, big, and then that's why on a lot of Sundays it's wine, because that's what we do and whatever. And I do these big family gatherings with a big spread of Italian food. And I was talking to him today and some of the other people that we, had here, and someone brought up, like, are we ever going to be not like the 90s and that level of dominance, but like, are we ever going to be a national, like relevant team is in your top 10 year after year? Is that ever going to happen again? And I want to say that I was confident that that's going to happen, but I'm at the point where I really don't know.
I know, obviously, it's different than it was 30 years ago. There's so much more money in and out, and especially when the players are getting paid legally and not in McDonald's bags like they were even 10 years ago in the South. There's so much more parity in the game that, like, I would love for Nebraska to be nationally relevant. I would love for Nebraska to have that 1 in a million season where everything just clicked, nothing went wrong. We ran the table and won it all, and then went back to 6-6 the next year. Just to experience that as a fan, like 6-6 would be frustrating as hell. But to be at the pinnacle of the sport once again, if ever for a moment, like you guys, I shouldn't say you guys don't. We all remember just earlier this year. Going into that bye week before Minnesota, we were a ranked football team. The football gods shone down and smiled upon us and were gracious to us. And then, like you said, Jake, we came out of the bye and we laid an egg, crapped the bed, use your cliche of choice, and we're no longer ranked. And now it almost doesn't look like we know how to play football.
And can we talk about how sad it is that at a program that is one of the regal historical programs in college football, that you're happy as a fan just to be ranked? Just to have a 20-something next to your name on the TV broadcast. That is very you're not Iowa. By the way, we're getting into Iowa today on this show. You're not Iowa. You're not Minnesota. You're not one of these pissant programs. You're Nebraska. Your name is in the halls of college football history where being ranked is not good enough. You should be competing for conference championships and playoff spots year in, year out. And every few years, you have a roster that is strong enough to where you think you can make a run into a championship going that deep, right? And frankly, I'm feeling it a little bit, but like I'm fed up with this bullshit, man. I'm done with this. Like, I woke up today and didn't even fucking care. I was that apathetic, and I'm a fanatical fan. Right? Fan is short for fanatic. I am a fanatical fan, and I woke up today almost not giving a shit, and that is unacceptable.
We do this show for fun, because we have to talk. Because we love to talk about Nebraska football. It's always easier to talk about a win than a loss, right? And by that I mean, not that we don't mind talking about a loss. It's just, or not that we can't find anything wrong in a win. We've done that before. Like the same things that you won't excuse in a loss, you can't excuse in a win. I think you said that the 100. First time this season. But when we got on here, and even though it was just a couple of brief minutes before 9:00, and I looked at you, I'm like, I don't even want to do the show.
No, I don't. And it's not because I don't want to be here with everybody and the fans that make this show and all. That's not what I mean. But I just don't want to do it because Greg, can you, or we can talk about it now, or you can star Dustin's comment from 929.
Gotcha.
About the offensive line, the line play. But, am I a blue blood elitist? I am. I think there's certain programs that for college football, when it's healthy, you always want some Cinderellas in there. I love it. I love the Boise stories. I love the TCUs and whatever. That might not be fair when TCU's had a lot of good teams over the years, but like, I like when college football is healthy, when your Bama's, Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Notre Dame, etc. Those schools are always doing well, those historical programs. And, every program goes through valleys, right? You have peaks and valleys, but ours has been historically long.
But interesting that you say that, just as Vince Watson says it took 15 years to dig the hole. It won't get filled back in overnight, but most fans want it filled yesterday. I love that breakdown, although I feel like it wasn't necessarily like, it definitely doesn't feel like 15 years. I'm not saying that Nebraska was winning national championships one year and then scraping the bottom of the barrel for wins against Houston Christian the next, but and you guys got to remember, like, I wasn't even around in the 90s. Like, I was alive. I was above ground and I was breathing air, but like, I wasn't a fan of Nebraska. I couldn't tell you where Nebraska. I take it back. I was smart enough in the 90s, at least the latter half of the 90s, to know where Nebraska was on the map. But I didn't know anything about Tom Osborne or Amon Green or Tommy Frazier. I knew nothing about Nebraska football, right? So it doesn't feel like 15 years to dig the hole. It feels like it's been an eternity just, like, what do they say? Two mice fall into the thing of cream. One mouse decides I'm never going to get out of here and just sinks, and then the other mouse says, I'm just gonna keep doing, Eventually churns it into like butter and crawls his way out.
Crawls out. Yeah,
we're somewhere in the middle. Like, we're trying, and I can applaud the kind of, I don't know, effort that I see, especially for the players. I don't think the players are not going out there and hustling. We're trying, but we are not trying. So whatever Matt Rule, was told, that the financial commitments that he was led to believe, we need to start seeing funds hitting the program and getting some of these top tier players. And I'm going to find this one because here we go. Kaylee says skill players mean close to nothing if the interior line means nothing on both sides of the ball. We either need some amazing transfer help or some development that hasn't occurred in years.
Yes. It goes right in line with another really good comment that, when I made a comment on the pissant programs, which I would usually be a little bit more PC, but when it comes to Iowa and Minnesota and those, that level of program, I have no problem talking about with what I do for a living, which I'm not going to get into my personals on the show, but I do. I oversee several markets in the state of Iowa. I know everybody save your condolences. I don't need those. I do have to drive into that horrible state quite often. I don't get gas there. I gas up in Nebraska. And then I don't buy gas in Iowa if I can avoid it. I'll just push my truck across the line if I have to. But, like those guys, there was a couple Iowa State fans and some Iowa fans that were kind of razzing me a little bit because I was wearing a Husker quarter zip. And I was like, yeah, you put your two pissant programs combined, I think you barely have more wins in your two programs' history combined than we have in ours. So you guys want to brag about that, go for it. But the reality is that Dustin Waterman on screen, for those just listening that aren't watching on YouTube, made a really good comment. The problem with those pissant programs is their line play has been much better than ours, which is 100% true. What made Nebraska great through the 70s, 80s, 90s was the great offensive line play, right? Your guys like Rozier and Clark, DeBose, right? All these great running backs that we had, all these really good quarterbacks, they were able to shine and showcase their abilities because of the great line play that was there. And it's just not, and it hasn't been. And I don't want to dog any specific player because that's not fair, but the overall quality of line play has been, frankly, it's been terrible. And I know I keep saying this word, it's the 10 times said on the show. It's unacceptable. It is unacceptable.
Abysmal.
It is abysmal. It's abysmal for the fact that also these guys are paid now. Okay. These are not student athletes. This isn't Irving Fryer pretending like he didn't get paid to come here, or these guys that we got recruited over the years. I have a really good friend of mine. If you're watching, I love you, brother. You're going to know who you are. But because I know he watches our show. who will die on the hill that Nebraska was clean all through the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and we didn't do that. We didn't pay our – dude, any team that was competing for championships in those decades, there was some shady shit going on with players, and we did it. We just never got caught. These guys now – what's that, Greg?
I refuse to believe that.
We pay. It just is what it is, right? But now it's all above board, or at least it's supposed to be. As far as I know, it is above board. I don't know of anything happening under the table. It's not supposed to be. So you can be a little more critical on these guys, and it doesn't mean you don't like them, right? Like, I've been very critical of Dylan Raiola this entire season. Do I like Dylan Raiola? I love Dylan Raiola. Love it. But I can be critical of his – not like that, Greg. But I love Dylan. But
I just wasn't expecting that.
This is what we can do this as fans. And the last thing you want is to be apathetic. I had a really good coach, getting on my ass all the time. And I was getting a little bit edgy back, kind of. I started to develop a bit of an attitude, and he kind of pulled me aside and he was like, when I stop yelling at you and kind of snapping at you, that's when you should be worried, because that means I'm done. I've given up. So as long as people like us and the, our viewers and all the great Husker fans and Husker Nation, as long as we don't fall into apathy and not caring, then this thing is alive and it's doing well. Okay. But don't be afraid to be critical of your team when it's due. You can love your team, be critical of it.
Gotta hit a few starred comments, and then we're going to turn our attention to what, Greg?
Friday. What are we gonna Friday. Who do we play Friday?
That's why we're gonna wait. I don't want you to get started. All right. Let's go all the way to the beginning. Fred says, this was a classic great week of practice, and we're definitely not ready to play.
Oh, to quote the great Mike Riley, someone who, by the way, I have a tremendous amount of respect for as a coach. He attended his own firing press conference. He was a class act. I hope he's doing really well. But, we have great weeks of practice. It's just those darn Saturdays that keep tripping us up. Yeah, Saturdays are the only thing that matter. That's the only thing that freaking – I don't care if we practice at all. Win.
By the way, I'm taking a little bit of grief in the comments from Minnie. It says, Greg's not even wearing a Husker shirt. Things must be bad. Now, this is not Husker, but this is Shattered.
I'm not either. I'm wearing a generic. It's a grunt style.
You got a hat. All right, here's what – I'll put the hat on it. There we go. All right, everybody should be happy. James Boardman says, Penn State has superior talent and played with motivation. Franklin was there 11 years and built that roster. Rule is on year 3 with a lot of underclassmen.
Sure.
We just need to be more patient and wait till the sophomores and freshmen or seniors and juniors.
Well, that's our only option. But that being said, it's also not unrealistic to at least go out and put on a display that's not embarrassing. And that was embarrassing. So, yes, I do agree with Boardman on that, but what the product we had yesterday was not acceptable. I don't care if it's underclassmen or not.
I blame myself, and I'll tell you why, because I don't think you watched the 5 Heart podcast, and that's okay. I wrote the 5 Heart Theater this week. We talked about 5 Heart podcast was a conversation between Matt Rule and James Franklin being let go. And he's like, yeah, I just don't know why anybody, fire a coach who perennially wins 9 to 10 games a year. And then at the end, we had Fred actually pop in as a cameo, pretending to be Bo Pelini. And in those 9-10 win seasons, we always had a game where we shit the bed. And last night was our shit the bed moment without the benefit of 2 more wins this season.
We had 2 this year. We had Minnesota too.
Yeah, but I mean, in Minnesota's could probably be viewed as a worse loss. I mean, it wasn't, by final score, but worse because, and I'll tell you what. Well, James said it, because Penn State is, kind of they fell on hard times, but they were supposed to be up in the upper echelon of college football this year. So maybe this one feels like less of a pounding, but than the Minnesota game. But regardless, we looked inept to a level that we've only looked inept in the Minnesota game. So,
correct.
Yeah, Husker Power says blame Greg.
It's always your fault.
It is. That's fine. Joel Tilson says no more bye week. That'd be nice. Let's just play both straight through.
Joel, I don't know if you were here earlier, but we discussed the horrible performances in Rule's tenure following bye weeks.
Let's see. Speaking of Joel, he wants to know who will transfer after the season. I started that one. I started another one of your comments, Joel, about next year. I want to spend more time on that one than this one. I don't know if I want to jump into the transfer portal speculation or
it's all speculation. It's kind of it's an okay thing, I think, for us to just speculate. But what I worry about is it of us almost seem like we're rooting for certain players to transfer because it's not what I want to happen. What do I think? It's really hard to say. We don't know because I don't know these guys. I don't talk to them. Who will transfer after the season? It's anyone's best guess.
Right. Living in Omaha, David Matney says, maybe I missed this already. Would Dylan have made any difference?
Well, the entire game plan would have been different. So you can't just say if Dylan would have ran the same plays that we ran with TJ, then no, absolutely not. It would have been the same bullshit. Sorry. Would have been the same BS that we had last night, the same vanilla crap that we saw. But we might have gone in with a little bit different I know we would have gone with a much different game plan. So maybe things would have been different in that respect.
Fred says, Matney, if Dylan played, we'd have had a few more sacks is all.
Well,
come on, guys, be nice.
To be honest, I would have probably said the same thing. There probably would have been a couple more sacks, but also there's no way to know because our play calling with TJ is so conservative. I don't know what would have been different with Dylan. We probably would have been entirely more aggressive. Yeah, there you go. Gary Pierce.
Gary Pierce says, Dylan can't control anything that happens when he's not on the field. Dylan wouldn't have helped the defense stop 90-yard drives at all. So
wasn't Penn State's quarterback 11 for 12?
I have that information.
Yeah, I think just so I'm not wrong.
11 for 12, 181 yards and a touchdown.
And most of those were just dump offs that were taken for big rack yardage. No, Dylan couldn't have had any effect on that, but our entire offense might have been entirely schemed differently. Again, it's all just speculation. Nobody knows. Right. What do I think? I think the best case scenario would have been, building an offensive game plan that played to our dual threat quarterback's strengths would have probably been the best thing to do, which we obviously didn't. So this is what you got, 37-10, which it wasn't even that close, to be honest with you.
Didn't feel like it. Keep Chopping says team could still hit 9 wins, best season since 2016. So
sure, with a bowl, with a bowl win, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Vince earlier said, does Rule need to be up in the box during games where most CEOs hang out?
The hard thing for me is that Rule is very beloved by the players.
Yeah.
And I like him. But I've said I'm not there. I don't know what his day-to-day looks like. What I do know is that cutting him loose and starting with another coach right now is not the move. That's right. What I do know.
Yeah. And Lane Kiffin staying at Ole Miss.
Oh, did that become official?
No, I don't. I
Oh,
think not till after the Egg Bowl, but
he's the only one that I'd want of this coaching carousel we have right now. He's the only one that I would want personally. And again, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying he's the only one that I would want to come here. I'm glad we extended Matt Rule.
Rostovsky says, I'm tired of Butler playing to protect his pass defense ranking. Doesn't matter when teams easily gash us. Why are we worried about a deep ball from a quarterback that was 3 of 15 on passes, 10 yards or more?
So Rostovsky always brings really good insight, and
not always.
Not always. I disagree with some things he says, but most of the time brings really good insight. And one of our commenters that knows a lot about football, which I love engaging with, he's 100% right here. Our defensive schemes are very much favoring, like when people are like, our rush defense is terrible. Part of that is the scheme. And we're not bringing help down into the box. We're playing a lot. We're playing back a lot. And it's to limit opponents passing. That being said, even if we were scheming to try to control an opponent's running game really well, like selling out for it, it still wouldn't look good based on our personnel. And that's just the reality. This defense isn't built to be a great run-stopping team at the moment.
Right. I mean,
but he is correct.
Last night, they're not – we've seen a lot of games this year where they're not built to be a football-stopping defense.
Yeah, period. Yeah, no, correct.
Let's see here. Adam Halperin says, Penn State's playing like a top-5 team. They should have beat Indiana a couple weeks ago. They're the superior team at this point. Flush this game and move on.
Agreed. That's all that needs to be said.
All right.
They were the superior team, 100%.
David Matney says, in year 3, should John be giving post-game reactions from his bathroom? He did last night. Mr. Matney, I don't know.
Yeah, I watched it.
So, let's see. Fred says, the honestly only thing that kept me watching the game last night was because of the coronation shows. Otherwise, I'd have shut that off and watched WKRP reruns.
Dude. Great show, by the way, that probably most people don't even know about.
I think you're underestimating the age of our audience.
Also, it was way beyond. It predated my birth by almost 2 decades. But yeah, great show. I didn't really watch much of the second half. There was other things kind of going on that I'd rather not discuss here that kind of distracted me from watching the second half. That being said,
for legal purposes, he's under a non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah, but I didn't watch a lot of it. I didn't have to watch a lot of it, to be honest. I caught enough to see. I mean, I saw TJ's, touchdown and whatever. But the thing is I am a huge believer and a huge fan of the guy at number 14 at quarterback. I think he's a star. I think that he is somebody who – I think he's a really great player that could someday be a first-round draft pick in the NFL. And I think that it's the job of our coaching staff to get the most out of him this year and next year. Because talking about the transfer portal, I do think he's going to be back. Whether or not that means that DR leaves or not, I think TJ will be back next year. I don't have that on any inside information. Obviously, I don't talk to anybody. I don't know anything, but he certainly looks pretty damn good, and he looks pretty confident. I mean, he had some really good throws. There was a throw that throw in the end zone to Lindemeyer looked good. Lindemeyer was just kind of in a bad spot, body position wise. Not to blame. It's not Lindemeyer's fault, but that was like a really nice throw. There was a few nice throws he had where he put the ball in the only spot he could. He looks good. He looks really good. And I feel really good about him coming back next year.
And you know what? Just like we had to be patient with Dylan as a freshman, we got to be patient with TJ and different set of skills, right? They have different clubs in their golf set.
Yeah, they do.
Well, all we know is that we don't have Dylan for the rest of this season. we don't know what 2026 holds. So
I
ride with our quarterback.
probably would have expected more out of 15 this year than what we saw. So I'm hoping for a big jump into his junior season. I'm just going to leave it at that. I would have expected more out of him this year. But anyway, moving on.
Here we go. I don't know exactly what they're something Wist Blaze. Hey, all Oklahoma fan here. The best college football fan bases are teams in states without a pro team. You all deserve better. Cannot wait to visit Lincoln in 2030.
I always loved the Oklahoma rivalry because it wasn't nasty like the Colorado rivalry or the Missouri or the Iowa. It was always like, it felt very like respectable between, at least in my experience. I could be wrong. I'm not speaking on behalf of Husker Nation here, but I always really liked Oklahoma fan. They're the only program in the country, if I'm not mistaken, with more conference championships than Nebraska in their program's history. Granted, that's because Nebraska and Oklahoma won it, one or the other won it every year in the Big Eight for like 40 or whatever, 60 years or whatever it was. But yeah, Oklahoma, I always like when Oklahoma's really good as a program because I think they're obviously, I don't think this is just a fact. They are one of those historical, regal, awesome, traditional college football programs. Also, Billy Sims, by the way, should be remembered as much. It was mutual respect. Dave Matney, Jake, it was mutual. Yes. And it still exists 100%. And I respect Oklahoma.
I don't know if you saw this one, Jake.
No, what is that?
Gary says, I'm guessing Greg is gone after this year, judging by how he ditched most of his Husker gear.
Well, shit, you don't want me to be the host. I don't even know what Greg does on the other end of this computer. I mean, he was gone for 10 seconds at the beginning of this thing. I didn't even know what to do.
Nobody knows what I do on the other side.
I froze like a little kid that lost his mom at the grocery store. I didn't know what to do.
Fred says, I'm taking my talents, such as they are, to Shadron. Their NIL is paying him in Yingling and pressed nut roll. I don't even know pressed nut roll. I'm afraid to ask. By the way, this is not a common confusion. This is not a Shadron State hoodie. This is Shadron High.
Whoa,
I got this because I was the voice of the Shadron High Cardinals, and this was the year they went to state back-to-back girls basketball. So this is actually the girls basketball official hoodie. And as you can see, it's super ornate and decorative. It is Shadron basketball. Nothing on the back, but it's comfortable. It's like I don't care. I'm not going. When I go out in the world, I wear my Nebraska Cornhusker hoodies.
I knew a guy I know a guy. He like collects like hoodies and T-shirts from like really obscure colleges and he just has his closet full of these. It'll be like, like schools like Pacific and like those schools, right? And it's just like cool. I always thought that was really cool, like these random little schools. But what was that one that Oklahoma at 953 XKPT?
Oh, follow up. Would love to see a protected out-of-conference rivalry game between our schools over reigniting Bedlam. Oh, over reigniting Bedlam. So they'd rather see Nebraska, Oklahoma than Oklahoma State. Grew up in New Jersey, and our football workouts were the Husker power criteria.
Brother, I am a video game nerd, and I love playing the college football video game. I play Oklahoma and Colorado every year. I set the schedule so that way I can play those two teams. I think that'd be so cool because I think playing Oklahoma every year is really good. I think it'd be really cool for, I know Oklahoma obviously is in a much different place right now as far as where their program is than us. But I think it'd be really cool to play them every year and just kind of, for modern college football fans to understand that used to be one of the greater rivalries in college football. It was something that was on TV every year. It was usually a top 5 or at least top 10 matchup. Be really cool. It'd be really cool.
All right. This has gone, I think, longer than we both thought, and we are just now broaching the subject. I guess you teased us, you tickled us with a little anti-Iowa. This Friday, Black Friday, Nebraska and Iowa from Memorial Stadium. He's turning the hat backwards. This is over the top.
So this is a matchup between good and evil.
Right.
As I've said before, there is no how unhinged can I? Yeah, how unhinged can I get, Greg?
You're 1,000,000% unhinged.
Okay, you're talking about a deluded state that has a delusional idea of their football success, their program. They haven't had a Heisman Trophy winner since before Pearl Harbor was attacked. They are a complete joke of a program compared to what they think they are. This is something that is a battle between the forces of good and evil. Iowa could go out and play Team Satan, and I would definitely consider rooting for. And this is not a religious show. I am a man of faith, and I'm a Christian myself. I don't know, man. I might consider rooting for Team Evil on this one. That it's a complete joke. Their fan base is an absolute joke. I've never been around more unknowledgeable referee officiating, blaming morons at such a high degree as Iowa Hawkeye fans. If there's anything we do this season that means anything, it's beating this shitty bargain bin Walmart home goods a TJ Maxx version of a football program that is over there across the river. Even the sound of their state makes me sick. And the fact that I have to go there tomorrow, it's good versus stupid. You're talking about a program and a fan base that actually thinks that they even belong in the same breath as a program like the University of Nebraska. It is a joke. And the fact that we still hold the edge in all-time victories and they beat us like 8 of the last 9 years or whatever it is, and we still have the all-time edge head-to-head is insane. And they're proud of this. Listen, everyone watching the show right now, think about that. Their fan base will brag and be proud of the fact that they've kicked our asses, which they haven't. They win by a walk-off field goal every year. Mm-hmm. But they've won like 90% of the games in the last decade, and we still hold the all-time edge. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. Nebraska and Iowa have met on the gridiron 55 times. That all-time series is led by Nebraska, 33 wins, 22 losses, 3 ties. Now, in the trophy series, which is a corporate trophy and it doesn't really matter, Iowa leads 10-4. Nebraska holds the largest victory, 57-0 back in 1980, and the longest win streak of 8, stretching from the 1930s into 1941. Again, pre-Pearl Harbor. Current win streak is Iowa at 2, but again, same manner, the same walk-off field goal BS.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Walk-off field, which is fine. Wins are wins. I'm also the same guy that people are like, well, we're better than our 3-9 record. No, your record is what you are. I believe that. But here's what's really funny. Last year, I had a faux pas where I said that, hey, Greg, read that.
Our Oklahoma fan, I'm just going to call Twist Blaze, says if you need a reason to root against Iowa as a fan base, which we don't, we have lots of reasons, but we'll take more. Just remember, Bill Snyder was the offensive coordinator under Hayden Fry, and Bob Stoops was a safety. Iowa is a boring brand of football.
I guess, do they have a brand of football besides white returners? That's the only thing they have.
Why they always got to be white, yo?
They are white, every one of them, and they're also great. They're the best returners in the country. But Listen, I had a faux pas last year where I incorrectly, even though I actually have done this at bars where I rattle off every Heisman winner, like I bet someone a beer that I can't do it, and I go from 1935 to present, and usually, depending on how drunk I am, I can usually get it pretty close. Some of those Notre Dame ones, like John Hewart, and like they kind of trip me up on the years because Notre Dame had like 6 Heisman winners between 1940 and 1957. So I kind of like will mess up here and there, but I incorrectly said I was never at a Heisman winner. And this is after the game, Greg, when we were getting clowned. Remember we had like 50 Iowa fans in our chat?
Yeah.
Not one of them actually corrected me on the fact that they had never had a Heisman winner. None of them. None of them actually said Niall Kinnick in 1939. Not one. That's how little they know about their own football program history. They didn't even correct me when I was wrong. That's all you need to say.
Rostovsky says that Iowa fans poop after they shower.
They don't shower.
They poop in the shower.
Oh, yeah, or if they shower. They don't shower, dude.
They do. They make the foot waffles down the drain.
Horrible. Yeah, listen, you're talking. I lived with one of these guys, and like there'd be like an obvious no call on a deep ball, and he'd be like, "That was pass interference. We would have won if they called the pass interference." Like it's listen, you're better than that. Husker Nation, you're better than that. Some stop waffles. Yeah, dude, they should.
I said foot waffles. I apologize.
No, listen. What's going on Friday is monumental. It is a monumental battle of what is all that is good in the world and what is wrong with the world.
It is, if I may.
Go for it.
If I may. This is going to piss off some people. I don't care. It is Santa Claus versus Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, I mean, you're I don't even know how else I've used so many metaphors and similes and everything tonight. I mean, I guess, what do they have in their trophy case over there? I guess they just have the trophy game between us that we played. That's the only trophies they have.
I mean, they have a lot of banners for, like we went to this bowl game and
oh yeah. Yeah, they're
very proud of. So here's the thing. And everyone wants to say that Nebraska fans dwell on the past. A, not as much as Iowa fans dwell on Nebraska's past, but
100.
2, they celebrate 8, 9, 10 win seasons, and still in our heart of hearts, we're like, that's not good enough.
The Iowa, you know what they are? They're kind of like when you have kids and like that one dad that's super psyched about his kid being like a middle of the road player at the Little League games. And he's like not very good, but he's not like the worst player. But then he's like got the fucking stickers on the back of his truck. That's what Iowa is. That's what they are. They're like overly proud beer drinking dads at the Little League baseball game when your kid bats 6th and like has a 200 or is like a 220 batting average. That's what it was. That's what they are.
It makes me sad that it makes me sad as a football fan that we even have to play them every year,
What makes me sad is that a program like ours even gets beat by something as lowly as Iowa football is what makes me sad, because a program like Nebraska, just like USC, Notre Dame, Alabama, Georgia, those Oklahoma, you should look at Iowa and just go, check that off, baby. That's a win. Yeah. That's what it should be.
Fred says it's monumental on Friday, Jake, but we will still lose because their boring football still beats whatever we're doing.
Yes, I agree with I agree with Fred's point. And also the fact that oh my God, I'm going to throw up. Iowa has one of the best offensive lines in the Big Ten, which they're pretty good.
They're just piss us off that like that's what we used to be known for? Like that was our trademark.
Yes, but Iowa, and I don't want to give them any credit because it's fucking Iowa, but like they do have one of the best offensive lines in the country, and you know, do we have any shot of winning? I mean, their quarterback up until the fourth quarter had 24 passing yards, but I mean, it's a good matchup for Nebraska actually because you can really, if we actually do what I think we should, sell out for the run, stop Iowa's running game, or at least limit it. Do whatever you can because they don't really have much of a threat to pass. But then again, Penn State didn't either, and they passed on us. So, it's hard. Do I think we have a shot to win? Hell yeah, I think we have a shot to win. Close every year, no matter what. Yeah, but
you're telling me there's a chance.
You're going to have to really have something. And I think you got to cook up something offensively to play to TJ Latif's strengths. Because whatever we've been doing, I mean, UCLA looked pretty good. He threw the ball 15 times and, completed 13 of them, a lot of rack and whatever. But it's going to come down to how we play defensively in this one. Well, it comes down to all three facets of the game, right. But I think that's really the key is defensively.
High Mountain guy knows what to do. I'll be there with a Hawkeye. Nobody wants to win more than me, but zero chance I'm talking shit going in. Yeah, you always like if you gotta, you might have to eat a little crow. Then wise. That's high IQ High Mountain guy.
So, listen, also you should never talk like. I mean, I do on the show because it's just what I fucking do, but you're above talking shit to a Hawkeye fan. You're a Nebraska fan. You're from Nebraska. Your program is so many tiers above what Iowa is that you're above that. It's like, it'd be like, I don't know, if you're Joe Montana and you're talking shit to some scrub undrafted free agent that comes into 49ers camp. You don't even really give him the time of day.
And he says, Jake, hold up. Maybe we can put Harburg under center and have him hand the ball to Emmett Johnson.
Yeah.
That would really fool him.
Listen, I feel like Harburg's career, this sounds been mostly wasted here. I think he could have done a lot more, and I love Heinrich Harburg, but I don't like him ever lining up under center or even being a quarterback. No. Not at all. And I know that's what David was getting at. Like, put Harburg under center and maybe he'll hand the ball instead of TJ. Just stop.
I thought that's the inflection in the acting that I gave it.
Stop. No, it was, Greg. It was. But you did a great job. The Oscar of the year or whatever. The Oscar goes, no. The thing is play to TJ's strengths.
That's all you got to do. Same thing you should have done with Dylan.
The same thing you should have done with Dylan. And Dylan's career hasn't been maximized here either. It's tough, guys. It's tough.
All right. So we hate Iowa. We'll get to prediction. Our at least Jake's prediction here in a minute. As a fun reminder, because it's Thanksgiving week, we will be doing 5 Heart podcast on Wednesday night, same time of 9:00 Central. But the tradition continues, turkey before turkey. So at least I, probably not many, but any of you who want to join me for a shot of wild turkey in our turkey before turkey tradition, please feel free to partake with us. So, Rostovsky says it's such shit that Iowa constantly gets us for a night game in their stadium, and we get them at 11 o'clock or 2:30.
Complete
that does seem like some fun scheduling. And then he also says that Iowa fans are proof that the gene pool needs lifeguards.
Well, I spend a lot of time in Iowa. The gene pool is pretty fucked up over there. A lot of people I think should be snipped. Moving on. Yeah, that's a weak gene pool over there. I think you just put a fence around it and let them do whatever they're doing. Yeah.
Oh, Minnie didn't get the memo. Yeah, because Thanksgiving is on a Thursday every year. We do the show on Wednesday because people are usually with their families or just tired and crabby by Thursday night. So we do the show on Wednesday, and I'll be doing a shot of wild turkey.
So you do turkey before turkey.
Yeah.
So
I've been doing a shot of wild turkey for easily 12, 13 years.
Just because we're here, because I've been a mainstay on the show for a couple years now, some people will see that I have my whiskey glass, obviously, on Sunday nights. I sip out of a lot. And I'm not a wild turkey guy, big bourbon guy. That's what I'm always drinking is bourbon. But I'm a Woodford Reserve man. I like Woodford Reserve. Wild turkey's a little sharp for my taste. Greg.
Yeah. I do a shot. I don't sip it. I down it, and then I move on.
Yeah. No. I will.
I don't do liquor.
No.
So, let's see. Haas is here in the chat momentarily. Says trying this again. I don't know what he was chiming in on the Iowa predictions last discussion. Should be a 35 carry game for Emmett Johnson with the weather slated to be what it is, and has Nebraska winning 17-12. I get to update that. By the way, he initially said, and of course I'll remind you of your prediction from the beginning of the season.
Sure.
Haas initially said 37-0 Nebraska. Now it's 17-12. Jake, what are you thinking about?
What did I have originally?
28-14 Nebraska.
I'm going to say 116-0. No, I'm going to 28-14 is what I had.
Yep.
I'm going to change that.
Okay.
Give me 2013 Huskers. It's going to be a dogfight, and it's going to be Emmett Johnson taking us to victory, and the defense, the combination of the two. They're not going to be able to throw the ball on us, I don't think. I mean, I also said that going into Penn State, and Penn State had, quite a bit of rack, and on those short passes where the running backs and the receivers ran for a lot of yards after the catch, you have to limit that. But Iowa has no passing threat as far as like middle downfield throws are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Play to the strengths of the personnel you have. You're the more talented team. Go out and get the win.
Let's see, 35 degrees at kickoff, 14-mile-an-hour winds out of the east.
Might snow.
Yes, no possibility is what Rostowski says. Matney says, did I hear something about playing Arizona in the bowl game and Jeff Sims is the quarterback of the Arizona State? I haven't heard that.
No one knows. There's too much up in the air right now.
I like the first half of this comment. I don't like the latter. So I'm only going to stop it at the ... or as some of you may know, the point of ellipses. So I'm all about the homer prediction, and I hate Iowa. And that's where that comment officially ends. So, yeah, I mean, I haven't thought about my score yet. I of course, will pick Nebraska to win, and will hang my head in shame if that doesn't happen. And then I'll come back here on the show and bitch and moan about it, and then I'll go out and get ready to support them the next time out, the bowl game. So it's what we do. Like I said, we're in an abusive relationship with this football team that we love. I don't know. I can't imagine at this stage in my career or life, not career, but life, I can't imagine changing, deciding to love another team. So I'm ride or die with the Huskers, whether they love me back or not. So
will always ride or die for Nebraska. And that's what makes, and a lot of us here, especially the people that tune in on a Sunday night, when you have to go to work in the morning on Monday. You guys that are watching, not to get all sentimental, but you guys that watch this show this late like this, man, that just goes to show. I'd like to see the equivalent show for a fucking Iowa podcast and what their viewership would be. It'd be a joke compared to what we have here. This community, this Husker football fan base that we have, we're the best fans in college football, and be proud of that, and be very proud of that, because ultimately the program's a program, but what makes the program is the fans. But also demand better out of your program.
Mm-hmm. Our last comment, or last starred comment and question of the night is from over an hour ago. Joel Tilson, this is the one that I've starred and been waiting on. He says, tougher schedule next year. We all know that. We all know that there are some big hitters on the schedule next year. Will Rhule survive?
It's a really good question. Much harder schedule. However, a lot more financial resources to go out and get some splash players in the transfer portal. I think we're going to look a lot more patchwork next year as far as getting some. I hesitate to say star players, but some more star players. Here's the thing. At least at this juncture, I don't want to restart with another coach. I like Matt Rhule. Do I think there's a lot of problems and flaws? Obviously. But I still think that he's going to guide the program in the direction we all want it to be in. Interesting
comments or response in the comments. Let's see. Husker Chuck says Rhule survives. Actually, my initial thought about this was aligned with David Matney or will our expectations be so low we just expect to lose? And we lost.
No matter how bad this gets, Matney, do not ever get to the point where when you're a fan of the University of Nebraska that you ever expect to lose. You're better than that. Your program is better than that. No matter if you're going 3-9 or 2-10, you never get to that level.
Point of parliamentary procedure. I have the numbers here in front of me where at least on 2 occasions this year, you predicted Nebraska to lose.
Yeah, but I don't expect it. It's a prediction versus an expectation.
Feel like they're hand in hand.
No, that's fair. That's a fair point. But I'm just saying you never, ever expect a program like Nebraska. You're not Iowa, where you know you're going to go 8-4 or 7 or whatever the fuck, and you just, good year. Let's go to the Citrus Bowl because you're never going to compete for anything. No, that's not what you do here. Even if you have a team that's 2-10 at the University of Nebraska, we were 3-9 a couple years ago, not that long ago, you never expect to lose, ever. Not with this fan base, not with these resources.
Oh, let's see.
Matney's my man, by the way. Love him, and he's awesome.
Beloved Holger Maniac from day one. Rostovsky says optimism is always the better choice. And I will this will be our last comment of the night. I know I said in the last I saw this one from Fred a moment ago because you're talking about the appreciation and gratitude that we have for this community that is spending their Sunday night with us. And Fred says, Jake, I think most Iowa podcasts just play Wheels on the Bus for 30 minutes and the 5 people in chat reply, yay, but spell it wrong.
They're, I mean, yeah. It is the Wheels on the Bus.
And they spell yay wrong. That's the part that really tickled me. All right. That is it for this episode of the Coronation's Overreaction. We miss Haas. We can't wait. Hopefully he'll be back in the chair with us next Sunday night to talk what we all hope is a Nebraska victory.
Well, we also promised Haas and I, and Greg, I don't know if you're going to do it. I won't put you on the spot, but if we beat Iowa, we're drinking a 12-pack on air live.
I'll have to see if I've got the kids with me next weekend. I can't remember what that's going to look like.
I don't want to also put Haas on the spot because he said that he said that before, so I don't want to like make him rope him into this. Oh, there he is. What did he say?
He says, I've never heard Husker fans talk about a schedule for next year as much as this year. Also, the obsession with Rule being on the hot seat is just absurd.
So. 100% agree, brother. Obviously miss you. Wish you were here. 100%.
All right. That's it for Coronation Overreaction. For Haas, who we miss and can't wait to see again, and every game Jake. I'm Greg Mahochko. We'll see you next week. Come hell or high water, win or lose, because that's what we do here on Overreaction. Go Big Red. Jake.
Love you guys. Hope to see you next week. We'll celebrate a win. Go Big Red.